Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame, because since yesterday we saw a breakout from this pattern that was squeezing the Bitcoin price, while the Bollinger Bands were also squeezing the Bitcoin price. And from there, we saw a big push to the upside, almost immediately hitting our price target here at 88,000. So yesterday's video turned out to be a perfect call here. However, right now we need to take a look at the 1-day time frame. Let me just get rid of these Bollinger Bands right here. And notice how exactly as expected, we are facing some resistance around these previous highs right here. Potentially, we could be seeing a rejection from this level of resistance. But more importantly, we need to break out above this descending line of resistance in the charts. Currently, this level of resistance is sitting at around 89.4K. The reason I am expecting quite a lot of resistance around this level here is because notice how on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we have a bunch of liquidity sitting at this 88.9K level. And sometimes what you will see is we grab a bunch of liquidity here and then reverse from that point onward. Now, we have done this a bunch of times already in the recent months, except at that time we were actually in a downtrend. So for example, right here, we tapped into a bunch of liquidity and actually reversed to the upside from there. But take note of the fact that is also a potential risk right here when we are sweeping a bunch of short liquidations and then potentially getting a short-term move to the downside from there. And of course, in the charts, this would pretty much just look like a rejection after sweeping all of that liquidity. Overall, my outlook on the 1-day time frame is still the same though. We still have this bullish divergence in the charts, which is when you have lower lows in the Bitcoin price and higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator. Typically, this points towards a break from this bearish price action that we saw here a couple of weeks ago, either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially bullish momentum. And so far, the bullish momentum is what we have seen. Not much has really changed here on the higher time frame, although I am expecting us to continue facing a bit of resistance here in the short term. Besides that, I think we should also take another look at these big support and resistance levels. This is actually a pretty old chart of mine, but either way, right now we are in a big level of resistance sitting from 86K all the way up to 88,000. If we were to break out above this 88K level with a confirmed daily candle close, then likely we are heading up into this next level of resistance above, sitting from 90K all the way up to 92,000. So for now, while we are in this red zone right here, it makes sense to be a little bit more cautious and be on the lookout for a potential rejection back down. In that case, there would be some short-term support at 85K, and below that we have a big level of support sitting from 84K all the way down to 82,000 in the Bitcoin price. If I take a look at the 2-week Bitcoin liquidation heat map, notice how we just took out a bunch of liquidity to the downside, although yes, there is still some liquidity around this 89K level left. But right now, most of the liquidity is to the downside on this 2-week time frame because we are currently at a 2-week high. So right now, most of the liquidity is sitting at 83K. There is some liquidity at 83.6. And yes, there is even some short-term liquidity right here at about 86,000. Let me just take a closer look at that on the 3-day time frame. So here you can see it a little bit better. Between 86.3K and 85.6K, there is some downside liquidity that in the case that we are breaking some short-term trend lines, we could be targeting to basically take out all of these very late long positions here. Besides that, in terms of the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, currently I do not have any data for this week yet. But of course, throughout the week here, I'm going to continue checking back in with this to see what the Bitcoin ETFs are doing. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.